Hi everyone, this is Miss Wilson, and I'm going to go over the syllabus in this video. So I'm looking at a sample syllabus for English 101, and this is a video that I'm hoping can be used just any quarter to kind of go over my general expectations. So at the top of your version of the syllabus, let me just go ahead and close those out. Over here on my sidebar, I've got some extra stuff kind of popping into place there. We've got Winter 2021 online. And here's my name, my contact info, and you'll notice I've got office number, which is slower, Google Voice, which is faster. So this is a phone number. It rings straight through to my cell phone. It's not my cell phone number, but it connects. Then I've got my email, which is the fastest. Okay, so make sure you use, if you need to get in touch with me, email is going to have the fastest response time. Office, I only check a couple times a week, honestly. Google Voice, I check usually daily, but I'm in class throughout the day, so you're not going to get quite as quick of a response from me. But email, even if I'm in class, in between classes or something like that, I usually do peek and check every so often on those. Okay, so my office is in building 1. There's the office number there. It's in the office area for English. I typically may not be there much the first couple of weeks of the quarter. I'm always bouncing back and forth between classes, but Zoom or office appointments are available. My Zoom and office hours for English students are Fridays at noon this particular quarter. And in future quarters, if you're watching this video and you're not Winter 2021, these can, of course, be subject to change, right? So just look at this part of the syllabus to find what my office hours are and go with what's on your syllabus, the syllabus that's posted for your section of the class, okay? As always, and this is a standard statement on any class that I teach, additional Zoom office appointments or phone call appointments are available if needed upon request. The Zoom meeting information is available at the very end of the syllabus. So your course syllabus, you can scroll to the very end and you'll see a Zoom link for your class. I'll show you guys that in a little bit. I also do in-person appointments as well if needed. Due to COVID-19, et cetera. We're minimizing some of that office time, but I do understand how important it is for many students in some cases to just have an in-person meeting. And so I want to be as available as I can for some of those if students are requesting them. Okay. Important note about getting in touch. Although I cannot reply to emails instantly due to class and other commitments, I do try to respond to all student emails within a 24-hour window or less during the work week. So that's Monday through Friday, within a 48-hour window on the weekends. If you ever send an email during the work week, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, that has not received a response within 24 hours, please feel free to follow up again with a second message, just in case I haven't received it or seen it or whatever. And sometimes I might be in a meeting and I see it and click on it, and then I don't get back to you, and then I've clicked on it so it's not bolded anymore, and later on, even though it's, oh, I need to get back, I may not remember. So sometimes I do drop the ball. I want to be just upfront and honest about that, but I do work very, very hard. I receive tons of emails, especially at peak times of the quarter, so I do try very hard to respond to students. I think that's important. Okay. Course description tells you a little bit about what to expect in this particular class. It's designed to help first-year students master general college essay writing skills, and it will specifically emphasize writing process, thesis development, and development of supporting ideas, etc. Proper attribution in MLA and APA format. We're also going to look at some of the most common modes of persuasive and expository essay writing that students will encounter in college, and also start exploring the research process, including the identification, evaluation, and utilization of credible as well as academic sources. My goodness, that looks like a lot, huh? But bear with me. In our weekly modules on Canvas, which I'll show you in a moment, you'll get through all of those, okay? And it's going to help you just master any type of writing in any of your college classes. So these are course outcomes, and these are important because we're going to be speaking to these throughout the quarter, and also especially when you get to the final portfolio. You want to be able, by the end of the course, you want to be able to compose text in a variety of situations, modalities, and genres. Understand the rules and guidelines that define genres in order to make intentional rhetorical choices. What in the world does that mean, Miss Wilson? Basically, just making different decisions as writers to get across the kind of point that you want to get across to a specific audience. So when we talk about audience, which we will, you want to think about who's reading it and what are some of the expectations that your readers are going to have. Do you want to stick with those expectations? Do you want to defy those expectations just a little bit, etc.? Okay. Understand information needs and evaluate information sources as part of a research process. So using the library, surfing the internet, identifying academic, non-academic sources and what kinds of sources are appropriate for college, etc. Analyzing text, print media, etc. as part of a process of composing. So not just picking an article and saying, oh, okay, this looks good. Google search and come up with the first couple things that pop up on Google, but going a little bit more into an in-depth research process and truly reading some of the works that you select, and then use those works to create your own original material, okay? Reflect on how the individual composing process has developed and will continue to develop. So at the end of the quarter, we'll have a little reflection piece where you reflect on what you learned about yourself as a writer this quarter, areas that you feel you have strengths, areas where you feel like you still want to work as you move through the college process. Here are the textbooks that will be used for this course. I do change these out periodically, so this is just the spot where you will look for the textbooks that are for your section of the course in English 101. This quarter we're using Elements of Style. We're also using War Child, so by Emmanuel Jaw. This Elements of Style, the most famous version of it, there's quite a few versions of it. It was written a long time ago, and it's a classic, and it's a guide, a general, very general guide, if you will. A lot of colleges still use it. There are professors that still use it. It's a famous work. So it's not a textbook per se. It's a small little book. And the most common one, I think, is by Strunk and White that you'll see. This one is by Strunk and Damarelli. There's slightly different variations of it. If you have it, but it's a slightly different variation, you can probably get by. This one is $8.99 on Amazon. It's also at the bookstore, so it's not too expensive. I really try to keep the price low for students. I've been there. War Child, $16.99 on Amazon if you buy it new. Neither of these you have to get new. If you find a used one that's like $5, $6, $7, $8, go for it, okay? Both texts will be needed at the end of week 2 and the beginning of week 3. That's standard for all of my courses. I always try to give students a little grace period right there at the beginning before they'll need their textbooks. How will this class be taught? So if you're in an in-person version of the class, this wording will be a little bit different. But if you're in an online version of the class, it will be taught entirely online, or perhaps you have synchronous meeting times on Mondays and Wednesdays or something like that. Okay, so whatever, go with what's on your syllabus for your course. Look on Canvas at your version of the syllabus here. This particular course is entirely online. Deadlines will be Sunday nights at 11:59. 3 major essays are required. That's standard, whether it's an in-person, on-ground class, or Zoom, or online, or whatever. And then there will be fewer smaller assignment submissions. So reading and writing intensive course, be prepared for that. But however, all reading and writing assignments will be posted at least 2 weeks in advance so that you have sufficient time to prepare. You will be working in groups for peer review of rough drafts prior to final draft submission. So always make sure that you have chosen to write about topics that you're comfortable sharing with your classmates. Don't ever write an essay for this class that you don't feel comfortable sharing with your peers, because we will be doing some sharing. Discussion board, putting you in groups for peer review, things of that nature, okay? I just want to make sure that students are aware of that. I do my best to supplement our online course on Canvas with helpful Zoom videos and other visual materials. I also encourage students to take advantage of optional live Zoom times that I've set aside for class on Fridays at noon. So that's office time Fridays at noon, and I'm happy to like showcase stuff that we're doing as needed. It's a good way to interact with me directly. If you have any other needs, as it mentioned earlier, please feel free to reach out, request an appointment, okay? Behavioral expectations in a professional setting. In most professional settings, employees, teachers, students, and staff are expected to treat each other with respect. This includes addressing others in an appropriate tone of voice, using appropriate formal language, exhibiting positive and neutral body language, waiting for appropriate times to speak with respect to others who are speaking. In an online setting, this means being considerate of the language we use and the way we use it on discussion boards, through email, whenever you email me, and also on Zoom video calls. So every now and then I have an angry student who's like typing something out in all caps. Maybe don't do that, okay? Just try to use good email etiquette, good netiquette, and make sure you keep a respectful tone in anything that we share on the discussion boards with fellow students. Correspondence through email with me, and of course, if there's a Zoom call. Classrooms are safe zones for all students, okay? So aggressive behaviors, verbal abuse, harassment, bullying, cyberbullying, or other behaviors that are perceived as harmful, unsafe, abusive, or otherwise unacceptable will not be tolerated, etc. Okay, so yeah, we don't. Here's a description of what the consequences can be for that. These are coming from set state of Washington standards, so just be aware of those. Academic honesty is a big deal in any English class. Academic honesty, especially in English, refers to avoiding plagiarism. But basically, academic honesty means you're not going to be cheating. Cheating is not allowed. It has serious consequences. It can result in a 0 on the assignment at the very least. It can in some cases result in more serious consequences, even up to the point of suspension or something like that. So you don't want to do that. We'll talk a little bit more in depth about plagiarism later in this course. I don't accept academic dishonesty on any assignment. So sometimes students think it's okay to just copy and paste a bunch of material just because it's a rough draft. Like, oh, Miss Wilson, I'm not done yet. This is my rough draft. And they just copied and pasted something offline. It took them 3 minutes to copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste. They didn't write anything. That's a 0. That's plagiarism. That's not acceptable either, even if it's rough draft. Okay. So grading and evaluation. Grades are based on the total accumulated points and then converted to a decimal grade. So you'll have points on Canvas. I will always go through and I always review essays twice because I think it's always fair to give everything a second look. So I grade lots of papers all throughout the quarter, lots of students, etc. I always think, there can be variations, right? If it's a Tuesday or a Wednesday or a Friday or the first stack, the second stack, the third stack of papers that I grade, I want to ensure I'm pretty consistent across the boards, but sometimes the difference between an 87 or an 88, right? Like I want to make sure that if I gave this student over here an 87 and this student an 88, there was fair grounds for that and that I was consistent and I was fair across the boards as best as I can be. I'll have a little bit more of a discussion in a later video about that topic, but I always grade every essay twice and I will give you the highest of the two. So if I grade your essay twice and you got an 87 on one grade and an 88 on the other, if I looked at it twice and I came up with an 87 the first time, second time I said, one more point and gave it an 88, I will give you the highest grade possible. Okay. If on the flip side, the first time I graded it, I said 88, I go back the second time and I think, it's not as good as I thought it was. It's an 87 or an 86 or an 85, couple points difference. I'll still honor that 88. Whichever of the two is the highest is what I will honor for your grades, okay? So class participation and attendance, this is absolutely essential in order to master the material. Attendance is defined as logging into Canvas and making sure that you are completing all of the items that are due for the week. So you want to take part in the class, listening, contributing class discussions, reading, writing, and completing assigned activities. So even if we don't have a live Zoom call class, make sure you are participating by watching these videos. And then posting on the discussion board. That's your contribution to the class discussion. Doing your writing, completing your assigned activities by the deadlines, etc. Okay, so you will be expected to complete items during those time frames. There's a note from the college, reasonable accommodation. If you are absent for reasons of faith, but you do have to report those to us in advance. Also, as of right now, COVID. We're going to be as respectful as we can if you or a close family member is diagnosed with COVID or something like that, and you're having to navigate some of those medical concerns, okay? So formal writing assignments, that is going to be 60% or 600 points out of your total grade. And let me pause. Okay, back to my screen share here. So now we have 3 assignments, 3 major assignments. These will be on Canvas. I do reserve the right to shift these around a little bit every quarter. So the topic is going to be, maybe different, but the type of essay is going to be the same. First one is a scholarship essay assignment. Second one is a persuasive essay. So trying to convince people of a point. And there will be research involved in this one. And again, the topic that I pitched to you might be a little different every quarter, but the type of essay is the same. Literary essay assignment. So we may rotate what books I read, with the students every quarter or whatever, but you're still going to have basically the same expectations, the same type or genre of essay for each of these 3 assignments. They're all worth 200 points each. Final drafts are typically due electronic submission on Canvas, 11:59 p.m. on Sundays. That's the main deadline and the theme you'll see going along throughout the syllabus. If for any reason you have technical difficulties on the day that it's due, email it. You can also slip a hard copy under my office door on Monday morning or something like that if you really had some problems. Any assignment that is submitted late will get a 10% late penalty if it's submitted though within 7 calendar days, so 1 week. You know, if it's late but it's less than a week late, it's only a small percentage removed. If it's more than a week late, it's 20% grade penalty. And this is not intended to punish students. This is just to ensure fairness. So everybody's given, hi there. So everybody is given the same amount of time to complete the assignment. If I give 2 weeks to the whole class, it's not fair for one student to get to take 3 or 4 weeks to finish it, right? Compared to everyone else. So with all that said, I absolutely understand the intense strain that so many of us are experiencing as a result of COVID restrictions. You can probably hear my children running in and out of the room. So we're all kind of in this together when it comes to trying to complete everything as best we can in the midst of COVID. So rough draft submission and peer review participation. Here's the points attached to that. We learn the most from our mistakes, and we can therefore benefit greatly from viewing the mistakes and successes of our peers. So writing is a communal effort. That word communal kind of means like, or sounds like community, right? We need to work together to make our work better. Even as an English instructor in a department, I would never send a very, 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 very important email out to some type of agency if we were writing a grant asking for money or something like that without running it by probably not 1, but 2 or 3 of my colleagues and getting some opinions and getting some feedback and getting some contributions before I send a major, massively important email or a proposal for a grant or something like that, application. You know, I wouldn't send it without having a couple sets of eyes look over it. So that's the principle we're going to use in our class as well. Important note, I will not accept the final draft of any assignment without sufficient evidence of the student work on that project prior to the due date. So if you do not participate in the discussion boards, if you do not participate in the rough draft process or the peer review process, brainstorming, everything that we do, and then suddenly the day that it's due, the final deadline, 2 or 3 weeks worth, 4 or 5 weeks worth in some cases of work that you never did, and then all of a sudden I have an essay that appears in your Canvas box that's a finished draft, it's out. I won't accept it at all. I have to see you participating and you working, and that's to kind of verify that against cheating, right? You know, like that you didn't just download an essay or get a friend to write an essay and really submit it at the last minute or whatever. You got to show me stages every week of the process that you're going through before I will accept the assignment. So discussion board submissions, 10%. Doesn't seem like a lot, but it adds up. Weekly discussion board forums, every week we will. And all of our discussion boards are designed to help you prepare for the essay submissions. So they're based by units. They're almost always, in fact, always going to be related in some way to an essay that we are writing in our class. Okay, so if you miss 1 or 2 of the discussion boards, whoops, I didn't get it in by Sunday night, then it's not the end of the world, okay, because they add up. There's 1 a week for 10 weeks, so it adds up. If you miss 1 or 2, it's not the end of the world, but you don't want to just be in the habit of skipping out on these altogether, okay, because over time, they do add up, and you don't want to end up with a 0 just because you weren't doing the discussion boards, okay? Final exam, we do have a final exam during last week's classes, and I will prepare you. It involves writing, critical thinking, analysis, argumentation, MLA, and APA citation. It sounds like a lot. It's really not. It's kind of a brief final exam. Most students finish in like half an hour. Some students maybe need 45 minutes or so. It's rare for a student to need more than an hour on the final exam, and I'll still allow 2 hours on the window for those who, you know, maybe really need extra time or something. Final portfolio, also worth 100 points. So we don't want to skip out on this either. At the end of the course, you'll have a chance to revise, touch up, improve your final work, and then you can improve the grades on those final essays in addition to getting credit for the portfolio. There's also a reflection piece that's involved in the portfolio. You'll get a handout closer to time. It'll be posted in the module of what's expected there. So every quarter, I have students who are able to bring their grade up by as much, I can't promise this, but in some cases, as much as a full letter grade. They bring it up from an 85B to like a 94A. In some cases, I've had it literally happen like that. They did that well on the portfolio. Can't promise it, but I can promise it will improve your grade. So at least some. Many students will go up a letter grade though, even if it's like from an 85 to a 91. right? Or something like that. So it's worth it to put the effort in at the very end of the quarter. Special note about grading. You need a 70 or higher to pass. And also it typically takes me 2 or 3 weeks to finalize all my essay grades with detailed commentary. So I grade, or I try to grade. Doesn't always work this way, but I try to grade in the order that essays are received. So if you're nervous about your grade, you want a little bit of feedback ahead of time, try to get it in a couple days before the deadline. Because whenever I post a box on Canvas that's open now for submissions and it's due by Sunday at 11:59, I check usually before I leave the office on Friday and print out any that are already in the box. If there's none, okay, I go home. I'm just going to chill tonight. I might even check by Saturday night though and just see, maybe there's a couple that got submitted early that I can start grading early or something like that. Okay. So try, if you are nervous and just really anxious about your grade, try to just get it in 24 to 48 hours ahead of everybody else. And then I can get that grade back to you a little quicker. In general, I do know, like, pretty quickly, like within a couple days, a few days, roughly A, B, C, D, or F on an essay. Like, I may not know if it's an 87 or an 88, but I can tell this looks like a B plus to me. I need to add up the points or whatever. So if you have any questions about your grades, even if I'm not done grading yet, shoot me an email. Feel free to ask. And I usually have, if not a perfect answer, usually not within a few days, I'm not going to have a perfect answer, but roughly, I haven't finished yet, but it looks kind of like it's going to be in the B plus range or something like that. Okay. This is a special note about Z grades. We don't give these very often. Okay. So I'm hoping not to be in that situation with any student. It's just a standard college note there. Other standard notes that we are required to present from the college. We do reserve the right to make minor changes if needed. You'll be notified if any changes are made to the syllabus. Tentative course schedule and calendar will be posted on Canvas and distributed separately. So you'll see the modules on Canvas that tell you what do you need to do each week. I'll also be sending out weekly emails letting you know what to do, etc. Americans with Disabilities Act, if you have an identified disability, there's a phone number that you can call and also a center on campus that you can visit. They do not tell your professors what type of disability you have, but they document it. Then they reach out to us and say, hey, Jane Doe has an undisclosed, disability or whatever. She shared it with us. We need you to do A, B, and C in order to try to help her succeed in this class. So they don't tell me what the disability is or any details about it. They just tell me, we need you to make sure that you're providing, extra time on tests or notes or whatever. Okay. And they'll let me know what they need from me. All right. Zoom meeting information for optional Zoom calls. This particular class, they are on Fridays at noon. So check your syllabus if you are in a different quarter. If you're not winter 2021, if you're another quarter or whatever, just check the end of the syllabus, see what it says, or see what it says at the beginning. When are those office times? It's optional, it's not required. But if you want to zoom in with me for the office time, this is where the information would be right at the end of your syllabus. Okay, and it's got basically all you do. You copy this link right here into a new tab. If it asks you for a meeting ID and a passcode, here they are. If you need to call by phone and do audio on Zoom, if you don't have computer capacity or whatever, here's the phone number. You dial 1253, and then here's this number. Then it's going to ask you, little message system asking you for the meeting ID and the passcode, etc. Okay, and this, again, as you can see, this phone number right here is the same number that's up there. Meeting ID, all of those are the same. It's consistent. It's just presenting the information to you in a couple of different ways. Tentative class timeline. Weeks 1 and 2, we're doing the scholarship unit. Okay, so we're working on a scholarship essay the first couple weeks of the quarter. Weeks 3 through 7, we're going to start working on persuasive research essay and related lessons. So usually the scholarship unit ends up going 3 weeks total, and then on the 4th week, that's when you turn in the final draft. But lessons wise, we have already started working on the persuasive stuff. So roughly, for sure, the first 2 weeks is scholarship. We usually go into week 3 with it, and then somewhere, maybe at the end of week 3, beginning of week 4, we're going to this persuasive research essay as you are turning in the previous essay, okay, if that makes sense. Then week 8 through the final week, we're doing our final literary analysis, portfolio, etc. Okay, so that's just kind of I like to leave this fairly open, and you'll see the modules on Canvas that kind of show you. I'm about to share that now. Let me get to Canvas really quick and just kind of give you a lay of the land there on Canvas. Actually, hold on, I'm not set up with Canvas yet. Give me a second here. Let me get our Canvas course up, and then I will share that really quick. And I hope everybody knows how to get to Canvas. So I go through the employee portal, but if anyone's having trouble, I could talk you through or post a video on how to log into Canvas, okay? So now I'm here on Canvas. Let me share my screen. Share screen, share. And I'm going to roll through my courses. You will have the same on your end. Whatever courses you're taking, they will all pop up here. Here's the one I want. And as I go in here, we've got our welcome and the syllabus and then the scholarship. Okay, so these are your only 2 first week's assignments. This one, and you may have gotten this through email, will ask you to go over to the discussions board. I'm going to show you that in just a second. But as you look through, you got week 2, week 3, etc. All kinds of stuff that you can kind of browse through and see what this class is about, but it's broken up by week on Canvas, okay? So tentative outline on the syllabus. I reserve the right to make some little changes along the way if needed. I'll never make a due date sooner than what was posted. In some cases, though, I might give you a little extra time more than what I said. So there's kind of the lay of the land for the whole class. To address one question, I blocked out this one about the literary analysis because I do change the book every quarter. One student already reported to me through email like, oh, Miss Wilson, I saw something that was talking about Friday Night Lights, and wasn't that the one for fall quarter? Aren't we reading War Child? The answer is yes. Whatever's on your syllabus is the book we are reading for this quarter. So for this particular one, it's War Child by Emmanuel Jal. But at any rate, so I blocked this whole unit out for now to make sure there's no confusion and that I have the right materials and no materials from last quarter that are still in there. What you need to do during the first week of school is make sure you go to the discussion board. So click on discussions here. And many students have already done this. And it gives you the instructions, okay? Already got quite a few that I need to grade, actually. Part 1 of the scholarship essay assignments. Here's what you need to do. Hi, everyone. Review the assignment sheet on the first module in Canvas. So that was there right with your syllabus. After reviewing it, type out a paragraph for part 1, introduce yourself, and also a paragraph that discusses either 3 or 4. So if you click on that document in the syllabus, and I've got a video that kind of covers it as well later next week, then you just give an introduction of yourself and then choose one of those others that you want to answer. After posting a thread about yourself, select 2 classmates to introduce yourself to by responding to what they have posted. In order to get credit, you'll need to point out something you liked about what they shared and ask them about something you'd like to know more about. Important note, once one person in the discussion forum has already received 2 responses, this person is off limits. So we don't want to have Jane Doe getting 10 responses from all of her peers and then John Deere getting 0 responses from everybody. So try to spread it out a little bit. If Jane Doe has already gotten a couple of responses and feedback from her peers, try to find someone else just to be polite, just as if we were going around the room introducing ourselves in class. Okay, let me go back now to the home page. So back to the home page. If none of that discussion board made sense to you, make sure you click on this. So that first part was the syllabus that I just went over. Here's the instruction sheet for the scholarship essay. I go over it more in depth in a different video. I believe it's the video for next week. Okay, so this kind of gives you all the information you need about the paper. Okay, so intro is tell us about your community and family, and then you had the option of choosing either part 3 or part 4 to describe. So you read those questions, flip back over to your discussion board, answer those questions to get credit. Okay, and then we'll continue working on this next week. One more time, back to the home screen, just so you know how to navigate Canvas. There's that syllabus that I was going over. If you click on this, this will open for the syllabus. This is the first assignment. We're going to spend a couple weeks on it, probably 3 weeks actually. And then your homework assignment is to go to the discussion board. You need to basically show me that you have looked at this by answering the questions in the discussion board and then also participating with your classmates. Thanks for watching, guys, and I look forward to working with all of you this quarter. Have a good day or a good evening. Bye-bye now.